All right, so we're back in the shop. I've been promising I'm going to film you some content while I'm back in Georgia. I told you I would. I told you that I would, and so I am. I'm a man of my word. We got the oil pan off last night. I filmed that. I've got to edit the video tonight. Okay, so I'm so far ahead. I'm filming that I haven't even posted them yet, but you're going to see that video. So, got the oil pan off. We've got, I've got to look because this truck should have a neoprene rear main seal, because the earlier trucks ran a rope gasket rear main seal. All right, which that's what this is. We would like to avoid that. Now this rear main seal is not leaking. The only reason I want to change it is because we already got it apart. If it does in fact have this rope rear main seal, I'm not messing with it. If I can't make it a neoprene one, I really don't want to mess with it. And I know that's asinine to have everything apart and not change it, but this is my brother's truck, all right? We're not supposed to fix it if it ain't broken, all right? We're just changing the gasket, the oil pan, that kind of stuff, right? The rear main seal's not leaking. I'm going to inspect it, see which one it is. I've actually never messed with one of these. All the ones that I have been either converted to neoprene or they came with a two-piece non-rope gasket, let's say. The rest of this, the cork, and this piece, which goes at the front and the back of the oil pan, it goes right here and right there in the front. Those are the same, so we don't have to worry about that. I couldn't figure out exactly what year they switched from rope. Sometime in the 50s. Like, for example, that F-head engine right there, I was expecting it to be a rope rear main seal, but it wasn't. It was a, more modern style. So I'm not sure exactly when they did do it. Either way, we're gonna look. We'll figure something out. We'll either inspect it very thoroughly, make sure it's not leaking, the one that's currently in it, that's probably been in it since 1960, or we might end up go ahead and changing it. I don't know. The problem is I really need to do this before I leave. And if I order the one-piece or the two-piece neoprene one, then it's not going to get here before I leave, so I don't know. But there's been more developments anyway. We got to looking at different stuff. My brother wanted to order the brake lines and the soft lines and the master cylinder and all that, so we needed to inspect the wheel cylinder because, well, I don't know where it went because we just had it. This isn't it, but this is what it looks like. So we'll just, for demonstration purposes, this is wheel cylinder. On the Willys trucks, they can be either a 1-inch bore or 1 1/8 inches. So we had to take the hub off of the front to see which one it was. This one's 1 1/8 inches, so we've got to order new wheel cylinders. These are off of a different truck, different Willys, but still, this is a wheel cylinder. Now let me show y'all something that's nifty that you should avoid if you can. All right. And every Willys I've ever seen, with the exception of Jubal, has been this way. And it's wrong, okay? Very wrong. It's a sin, all right? And I want you to see what I'm talking about. So what happens is these trucks some of them came factory with locking hubs. It was a dealer option. You could get hubs put on at the dealer, but the standard configuration on these trucks was no locking hub, which meant your axle is locked all the time, basically. So you can't disengage the axle from being locked. Okay, so what happens is somebody decides they want to put a locking hub on it. Okay, so this goes out here on the end. Imagine you got your drum right there, all that, and you've got this out here so that you can turn it and lock and unlock your front axle, which gives you a little bit more use of your horsepower. Is not robbed turning the axle when you're not in 4-wheel drive, but no, it's really neither here nor there. The problem with putting those on these trucks is I've yet to see one that when you take it off, that this is done correctly. All right, and the problem is none of these trucks were really built with this in mind. And so at the end of this shaft right here is a notch. All right, this is supposed to have a snap ring in it. Okay, this snap ring dictates where this axle shaft sits in the differential. Okay, this controls your lash back and forth. All right, when you go to put a locking hub assembly on here, there's not enough room with most locking hubs, whether they're Warren's, International, Harvester. I haven't seen one yet that had enough room to accommodate the snap ring. So people would just put it on there without the snap ring, okay? That seems grand. It seems dandy. But the problem with that is take a look at this shaft right here. I want you to look at it real close. See this? See that? That happens without that snap ring there holding this axle. This happens constantly. When you turn, while you're driving down the road, when you turn the wheel just a little bit, this shaft is sliding in and out of the differential down here on the other end. It's going in and out of your differential like that, sawing back and forth, okay? That is no bueno, okay? That's not what you want. That is not what you want. I'm sorry, I had the scar on my mouth. It's not what you want, okay? That's going to grenade your differential eventually. If you drive the truck any significant amount at all. Like now, this truck was probably used on a farm. They didn't drive it enough to matter. They probably kept it in four-wheel drive most of the time. So they never really had the problem. They're not running over 15 miles an hour on the farm. If you're driving this truck down the highway, say you're going 30, 40 miles an hour and you're turning and that axle's going in and out on both sides, going in and out like that, you're doing untold harm on the inside gears and your differential. It's not good for it. And every Willys truck that's had locking hubs on it that I've taken them off has been that way. So keep that in mind, because back in the day on older Willys trucks, excuse me, the smoke, on older Willys trucks like Jubal, like my 49, it had a different style axle. It had what did they call it? I can't think of the name of that joint, but it's the precursor to this style joint. I've got one out around here. Hang on a second. I've got one out. I've shown it to y'all before. Yeah, here we go. So this is on the other side. This is the passenger side one, but either way, this will work for demonstration purposes. This is out of a Dana 27 front axle out of a Willys wagon. All right, so I saved this because you might need this in the future. If you break this axle or something, you might need it, and you don't throw away Willys parts unless you absolutely have to. All right, they ain't making them no more. You might could buy this, but it's not Willys. Anyway, the earlier Willys trucks and Jeeps had this same configuration, and I can't think of the name of it for the life of me right now, but they called it a different name, and it wasn't. This is basically a U-joint. All right, it is a U-joint. That's what this is. The early ones didn't have that. So it just meshed together right here, and you could literally, if you were holding it like this, you could just pull it apart. And those trucks had I think it was a threaded end down here that had threads on it that had a nut that went on, and that is what dictated where it went. Okay, well, the problem with that is that some guys wanted to put locking hubs on it, so you've got this threaded end on the end of it. So guys would cut that off. Now, they didn't have this snap ring notch. They had a threaded end, so you put a nut on it, and that acted as the snap ring does on the newer style. Well, they cut that off so that they could put the locking hub on it. So then you ended up with the same problem, except for it was worse because then this joint was coming apart and separating back and forth, and it was going in and out on the axle inside the differential, okay? And that destroys things, and you don't want that. Just don't do it. I wanted to put a lock and hub on Jubal, and when I put the lock and hub on there, I got to the very end. I got to this end, and I wanted to put the snap ring on it, and I couldn't put the snap ring on it. And so I took the lock and hub off, and I put it back to factory, because I just had the axle rebuilt. I'm not going to destroy it by running a locking hub on it. So just keep that in mind. I don't mean to lecture you. Just keep that in mind, that you have to be careful of that, because that's very important. You don't want to have a Jeep that you plan on running for a long time and you destroy your differential, because having that rebuilt is expensive if you don't know how to do it yourself, and it's still expensive if you do it yourself. I don't do stuff like that. I paid a guy to rebuild mine. If y'all have watched my videos from the past, you know that was an ordeal, but it cost me, for the front and rear axles, I think I had almost $3,000 to rebuild them, and sourcing parts for the Dana 27 is not that bad, but for the Dana 53 is rather difficult, which is the rear axle. So you want to preserve them as long as you can with as many of the original components as you can, all right? So that's enough of my soapboxing. I just want to let y'all know, because this is another Willys. I've seen this, and I guarantee if I take the cover off that differential right there, it's probably got a lot of metal in it from that sawing back and forth. There's probably some ring gear bolts laying in the bottom of it too, because these Willys were notorious for that. But we're not looking at that right now. One of my viewers, if you remember months ago, a gentleman, I believe he was in California, the guy that won the 500 subscriber giveaway, he sent me some Willys parts. He sent me some brake components and brake lines and stuff. Well, they're going to be put to use on this truck. So I've got the full set of brake shoes that I need for this truck. I've got the front brake lines, rubber lines. So I appreciate you, sir. I appreciate you, because they're going to go to good use, be put on my brother's truck, and that'll save him some money, and we don't have to wait on parts. So that's handy. We're going to order the master cylinder. We're going to order, I've even got the bearings from another truck I bought. It had a bunch of parts in it. I've got 3 bearings. I need 4, but I've got 3 good made in Japan bearings, and the seal for the inside of the hub. That seal right there that goes in there. So we've got to order. We're just going to order the full brake line kit, hard line. Order another rubber line for the rear axle. Order the wheel cylinders for all 4 corners. Order the master cylinder, and a couple other things, this, that, and the other. This truck runs fine. We need to go through and check the oil in the transmission, transfer case, axles. Make sure that that's got some kind of oil in it. You know, some oil would be nice. Make sure it's not 90% water. But yeah, then we'll be cooking with some grease. You know what I'm saying? So we got this hub blown apart right here. The race on those bearings, they feel like, you know, it's like Hamburger Hill. All right, it's like Tokyo Bay 1945. It's rough. Is what I'm saying. It's rough. It's not what you want. So we're gonna have to use those new bearings. It appears that all the other brake components are there. Now, if you've ever messed with a Willys, you'll know that the brakes were not intended to be user-friendly at all, okay? Because Willys, as much as I love them, Willys decided to build this wrong. And what do you say? You say, well, what does that mean, Red Clay Traveler? Willys couldn't do no wrong. I know, I agree, but they made some mistakes. And one mistake is that you have to disassemble this entire assembly to pull the drum off, okay? And that's because they decided to put the drum on the wrong side of the hub. So that's awesome. Sorry, I get cigar puff going on. And then if you go to the back here, this is where the fun begins. You gotta have a special puller. Well, you don't got to. You don't got to do nothing. But you don't have to have the puller. I would recommend that you get the puller. But anyway, that hub is on a tapered shaft. Yeah, that's right. You're probably sitting there thinking, well, but Red Clay Traveler, this truck's from 1960. Why are they building it wrong all the way into the 60s? They built it wrong all the way till they quit making this truck. All the way to the bitter end, they built this thing wrong, like a teens era design with a tapered shaft where that slides on there. And so to pull this hub assembly apart back here is a nightmare. It's a nightmare. It's literally hell. It's horrible. And I've destroyed drums, taken them off. I've heated them. If you watch his channel, it used to be Turn and Burn. Now it's it used to be Muddix Racing. Now it's Turn and Burn. Guy up north that does a lot of stuff with regular Jeeps, not trucks or wagons, but he does a lot of stuff with regular Jeeps. He had to cut the hub with a torch, cut a piece of pie triangle out of it to get it off. Okay, because and he had the puller. It's a horrible design. It is horrible design. Okay. If you've watched my other videos, you've heard me rail against this because it's just stupidity. It was wrong when they built it in 1947. It was wrong, and it was already outdated then. There was already vehicles around that had it correct, okay? Hell, during World War II, they had a free-floating axle on the military Jeep. Full floating. And then they're like, you know what? For the civilian Jeeps, we're going to build them wrong again, all right? Yeah, does that sound good? Yeah, let's build them wrong. Okay, try not to have an attitude about it. Thank you, Willys Overland. I love the trucks, but just come on, man. Like, what the hell? And then you got the other problem here is that the brake system is a single reservoir, which that's not a Willys only thing. Everybody did that stupid crap, all right? And not only that, but it holds the equivalent of a thimble worth of brake fluid. So if you get one brake line on this truck, one brake line gets broke, that like syringe worth of brake fluid squirts out on the ground, you have no brakes. None. All right? None. Now, I don't know if any of y'all have ever rode in a vehicle with no brakes, but it's not a pleasant feeling. I used to have a 1966, and this is going to upset you, a Ford Mustang. That's right. When I was a child, I spoke as a child, and I thought as a child, all right? And I used to have a Ford in my life that I drove on the regular basis. It still was the best running Ford I've ever been around. It was like a death trap because it was a Mustang, but regardless, it had a single reservoir master cylinder on it. And one day I was coming home from high school and I pushed the brake and it went all the way to the floor and it was like I was stepping on a plum, all right? And it's just soft. And the parking brake didn't work on it. And so I wagered, my simple childlike mind wagered that it would be a good idea to just drive it on the way home. I was already almost home when I found out it didn't have any brakes. I'll just ease it on home. So I get home, I pull in my driveway, and I reckon that I'm going to just pop it into park. You know, I'm going pretty slow. I'll just pop it into park. It's not going to be good for the transmission, but at least it's home, and I don't have to call my brother or somebody to come get me. Well, the Mustangs, the Cruise-O-Matic Automatic, had a fancy little feature to where I guess they figured your girlfriend was going to hit it and knock it into neutral or reverse or something when you're driving, so it just doesn't engage. You put it in park or a different gear that other than the one it's supposed to be in, it just won't engage. It won't do anything. So it just clicked. Didn't hurt the transmission any. It just clicked. So I'm driving down the driveway. Now at my abode, at my casa, all right, you can either go straight off the edge of a hill down towards a creek full of oak trees and pines. You can turn left and hit a house, or you can turn right, which kind of goes up a dirt bank, and then that's where we parked other trucks and cars. I wagered that turning right would be the best solution. So I turned right, and I rear-ended my Toyota truck. I had an 87 Toyota. Once again, I told you, when I was a child, I thought as a child, all right? I was making all kinds of bad decisions, all right? Anyway, turned my Mustang up that little dirt bank, rear-ended my truck. So I wrecked both my vehicles at the same time in the driveway, same day. All right, yeah. I bet you haven't ever been that stupid before, have you? Yeah, it's pretty great. And Of course, the Mustang looked like it had been wadded up and put in the cat's ass, so it was all effed up. The hood, the bumper, the valence, the grill. Ended up getting it fixed, all that aside. But that was all because one brake line fell over against the exhaust, a soft line. It melted the rubber line, and I lost all brake fluid from that master cylinder. Now, if it was a dual reservoir master cylinder, you can lose front brakes, you still got rear. You can lose rear, you still got front. You have to destroy a brake line front or back at the same time to lose all brakes on a dual master cylinder, okay? We like redundancy when it comes to things like brakes, all right? You want redundancy, all right? So, eventually this truck will probably be converted to disc, but we're not doing that right now. We just want to get it operational so we can drive it around town, all right? So yeah, I'm not casting shade on Willys. My God, you know I love Willys. I love Willys. I love Willys. You know that, all right? I'm just telling you, I've had a lot of guys write me questions and stuff, and they're under the impression that you buy one of these old trucks and it's like, it's sunshine and rainbows. And no, it's a lot of misery, and you're going to work on them a lot. And you're going to find that there's a lot of just ridiculous designs, and there's ridiculous designs on every vehicle that's ever been made. So, just keep that in mind. Like, before you get all gung-ho about it, just think about it. Like, do I really want to be the guy having a mad fit in my shop over the fact that I can't get the rear hub off the axle? No. This is what compels some people to turn into Buffalo Bill and start butchering them all up and put them on S10 frames and stuff, because they don't want to deal with the original equipment. So they go all Jack the Ripper on it and start, putting S10, Monte Carlo, and axles and crap and all that. And I get it, it's easier, but you want that original Willys smell. You want that Willys persona, all right? You want a man, when he sees your truck, to go, my God, that's a Willys truck right there, and you haven't, it's original, isn't it? And you go, yeah, you damn right it's original. It's a Willys Overland, okay? So yeah, I'm just rambling though, but I'm trying to get y'all some content before I leave for Boston again, so I just, going to show you all the brakes. We've covered the brakes, what the plans are for that. I'm actually going to go up to the house here in a little bit and order some stuff with my brother so that all can be on the way and here for when I get back. I've got to sandblast the oil pan tomorrow, probably. Paint it. I've already sandblasted it before, but it's been a while, so I need to sandblast it again loosely and then paint it. I'll film that. And then basically kind of clean up these brakes, pull the other side apart, get it ready. Probably wait on the back because that's going to suck. And I think I've got the puller because one of these Willys I bought had a puller in it, and I think it was the real one. And I just don't know where that puller's at, so I'm going to have to find it. Because last time I broke, I think 2 pullers that weren't the style puller that you're supposed to use for this. I think I broke 2 different pullers trying to get it apart and bent the drum. It actually bent the drum trying to pull it off because it's holding it in the center and it bent it trying to pull it off. It's great. It's awesome. Anyway, so yeah. It's pretty cool. Oh, side note, if you've made it this far, I know, I'm sorry, I've been rambling. If I've made it this far, I had a notion for y'all that watch this far and don't skip around in the videos. While I'm out of town, I would very much like to still put content on, but obviously I can't work on Jeeps or Willys trucks or what have you. But what if I just did a couple, every other day or something, I filmed a short video, about some history stuff, maybe a 10, 15-minute video talking about some kind of history. That way y'all can still hear from me, because I really miss, like during those 2 weeks, it bothered me the whole time because I really enjoy interacting with y'all. I like putting content out there. I like interacting with you. Reading your comments means a lot to me. I really, really like it. So if that's something y'all would like, let me know in the comments below this video, and I will see about filming you some content while I'm gone. I could film it sitting in the truck, smoking a cigar, maybe in the hotel room, whatever. But cover some different stuff, just a little history only. I can create a separate playlist under the Regulate Traveler page and have just, like little history chats, we could call them that, whatever. And we could have a whole segment over there so that when I'm out of town, y'all can still hear from me and you could just hear some history. And we'll keep it easy and light, but that way there's not this long period between videos because it really bothers me. I don't like it. It's weird, So I'm thinking about doing that. So let me know if y'all like the idea of that. I talked about some history in the video that we'll post before this video, so y'all will have probably already seen it by the time you're watching this one. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm still going to do the AMC history video. I just need some more time to do it, so I need to sit down and actually read through the history and get the major points up and everything and do that. So I'm still going to do that. I have not forgotten. But yeah, I hope y'all were excited to see some Willys action again. I'm pumped about it. It feels right working on a Willys again. It feels right, This truck is in very good shape. The front leaf springs are a little bit compromised. Let's just do some more talking here, because I don't have the stuff ready to do the oil pan tonight, but I want to give y'all some content, so we'll just give you some content, baby, you know what I'm saying? All right, so the leaf springs are kind of mildly compromised on this truck. The rear leaf springs are actually good, but the front ones are smoked. The frame on this truck is very nice, very nice, very nice. I don't know that it's as good as Jubal, because Jubal's frame is just virginal and beautiful. All right, this frame is pretty dang good. This is probably the next best frame I've ever seen. And the two-wheel drive Willys frame is amazing. So, but anyway, we got to get a front bumper for this unit. We need a front bumper. But of course, the front bumper, like I've got on Jubal, is as hard to find as anything, as hen's teeth, as a Confederate belt buckle, as anything. It's difficult. But maybe I know a guy that's got one, but he won't sell it. He said he's gonna hang it above his bed. I think is what he said. So, I don't know. But we need a front bumper for this truck. Get the brakes done on it, master cylinder done on it. We need to do a bushing for the pedals, because the pedals on these trucks are very bad. What happens is they're on a shaft, and those pedals waller back and forth over time, and they get a lot of play in them, and it's no bueno. It's not good. I had to fix it on Jubal. This is before I had the YouTube channel. I wish I'd have been filming all that, because I did a lot of work on Jubal that y'all never got to see. And got it better. I couldn't get it perfect, but I got it a whole lot better than it was, because you could take the pedal on Jubal and move it like almost a full inch either direction, and that's just sucks. So the steering on this truck's pretty good. It probably needs motor mounts eventually. It needs a little touch up here. The fenders on this truck aren't too great. It's had some Bondo done to them. But it ain't a show pony, all right? It ain't a show pony. We're just trying to, as I say, as to quote Vice Grip, it's good enough for the girls we date, all right? That's my favorite line from Vice Grip. That's my favorite thing is when he says that. It's good enough for the girls we date. I like that. It's hilarious. I love that. Anyway, so, yeah. We're going to put the shine on it. It's going to look good. It's going to look real good. My brother wants to paint it two-tone, and I'm with him. I'm all about the two-tone lifestyle. I don't know what he's decided on the two-tone. I don't know if he wants to do kind of two-tone where, like, the inlets in the door are the color, like, say it's red. I mean, white. The truck's red. The inlets are white, and the top of the cab's white. Or if he wants to do the kind of two-tone where it basically follows that body line, so this up here would be one color and the bottom would be a different color. I don't know. So these trucks look really good when they're painted red and the fenders are black. They look great like that. These trucks look good when they're painted neon pink. They look great any configuration. You could have wrote on the door, "I love Joseph Stalin," all right? I don't love Joseph Stalin, but the truck, I love the truck, you know? And if the guy driving the truck loves Joseph Stalin, at the end of the day, me and him would be able to get along on the fact that we love Willys trucks. You know what I'm saying? We could agree on that much. So I'm saying the Willys, there's no such thing as a bad one. There's no such thing. So, yeah, I'm wound up tonight if you haven't noticed. But I just want to give you a little chit chat. I haven't got to be with y'all in a while. I've enjoyed reading your comments from that video I posted, yesterday. It's good to hear from you. Peter Yoakum, Matt J, all my boys. It gets me. Brian Poole, you get me. You get me in these comments. You get me in the feels, man. Trying to get me in the feels. I like it. It means a lot to me. So I'll shut up now. I've been rambling too long. This is over 30 minutes. I haven't done anything, but I've at least gave you a pep talk about some breaks and stuff, whatnot. I'd like to close it out with some history real quick. If I can think of something real quick. I didn't plan ahead. I should have planned ahead. I didn't plan ahead. So what here? What here can we talk about? How about some personal family history? How about that? I have, let's see, my third great-grandfather had 27 children. I think I mentioned this before. And of the 27, 22 of them were boys. And this is over 3 different wives, because his wives kept dying, probably from having children every 15 minutes. I think I told this in another video. If I did, forgive me. Anyway, one of what would have been my great uncles, he got his leg cut off in a railroad accident in Tennessee during the Civil War. The Confederate Army discharged him. He comes home to Georgia, and 1864 rolls around. Sherman's boys are on the march down through to Atlanta, and my ancestor decided that he wasn't okay with that. He wasn't all right with it at all, and so he gets up. He's got one leg, mind you. He's already been discharged honorably, and so he goes and enlists in the Confederate cavalry and fights the Union Army for the rest of the Civil War in Georgia with one leg. Yeah. Okay. I told this story to a guy today because he was kind of down and out, and I said, well, just like, what's your excuse? Like, this guy had one leg, and he still went out there, got on his horse, and went and fought the Union. I mean, that should be empowering. But these guys back in the day, the things that people did back in the day, it's obscene. It's just obscene. Half the time I don't even want to get out of bed. And then I had an ancestor over here riding in a battle with one leg. You know, and like, it's just, you know, it makes you feel kind of inadequate, which kind of makes you want to get out there and do it. You know, it took a long road of history for you to be here right now. It took a lot of things to occur. A lot of time, a lot of people suffering and toiling in the fields and in the streets and working and dying in wars just so that you could be here watching my stupid face. So don't ever let it pass without being grateful for it. Not everybody gets this. Not everybody gets to enjoy this kind of stuff. Not everybody gets to have a Jeep to mess around with in your garage and toil your time away playing with something like this. Most people in human history, the vast majority of human history, there was no leisure time. There was no hobbies. There was no nothing. There was working, daylight to dark, and then after dark, and then you went home and you slept on the floor. You know, that's most of human history, all of human history. Up until like the last, 500 years. And even then, it was pretty shitty back in the day too. You know, as much as I long for the old days, I'm not under the impression that it was all a bunch of laughs, all right? But I'm just on a pep talk kick here lately. I don't mean to be. I'm certainly not the most uplifting person in the world, but I'm working on it. I'm trying to be a little more lighthearted these days. But yeah, just get out there, buy yourself a Willys. Embrace it. Embrace the Willys lifestyle. Like I told you in the last video, when you're feeling sad, you go out there and you work on that Willys. You work on that CJ5, you get out there and you make it happen. Because that Willys ain't going to fix itself. It's not. It's not going to do it. I've got that two-wheel drive Willys out there. I've been waiting all this time. It ain't fixed itself yet. It ain't done it. So as soon as this Willys gets out of the way, we're going to pull that sucker down here and we're going to slam that F-head in it. And eventually, maybe down the road, if we can find us a Dauntless, we might put it in it eventually down the road. But for right now, we're going to put the F-head in it, like I originally intended. And we're going to see how she performs. Sound good? I think it sounds good. I think it sounds mighty fine. Fine as frog's hair, as a matter of fact. So until next time, until the next video, I hope you enjoyed this ramble of over 35 minutes of my stupid face rambling you about crap you probably don't care about, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were sitting there in your easy chair, eating something you like, maybe snapping into a Slim Jim, or maybe you're drinking a cold one, or you're drinking some tequila, or you're drinking some bourbon or something. I don't know. Drink some milk, some buttermilk. I don't know what you're drinking, but I hope you're enjoying it. And I hope you sleep good. Have a good day. It's nighttime. That's why I'm telling you to sleep good. Be careful. In the South, they always tell you to watch out for deer. All right? So watch out for deer. All right? Don't hit any on the way home. And I hope you have a good day. Have a pleasant tomorrow. And don't forget, Willys for life. Cigars for life. Willys for life. Get it.